Kareem Rae here, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Arturo Ordonez, who is a professional soccer player at Pittsburgh Riverhounds in the USL Championship. Arturo, thank you for taking the time today for joining us. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing great. Obviously not the best. I've been better. As I said to you before, we just lost the first round of playoffs, and it hurts. That was last weekend. We didn't expect that at all, but that's part of the game. So learning from it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So it sounded like you guys were expected to win that game. What was the score and what happened that game?
So in the regular season, we won the Player Shield, which is we won the East and the West Conference, and we were playing against the number 8 seed. So we were seeded number 1. We were playing against Detroit City at home, and we just lost one game in the entire season at home. And then we were expected to win that game, but I think Detroit played really well. It was a tough match, and we lost 1-0 at home.
Yes, that's not too bad. 1-0. So was the goal that they scored a good goal or was it a fluke?
Yeah, it was a great goal from outside the box. Shots were 12-1 from inside the box, or shots on target, I think. Honestly, like, we had so many chances, we just couldn't convert one of those, and the one chance they had, it was a great hit, a great goal, and obviously, congrats to Detroit and that goal, but it hurts.
Yeah.
It's
I
something
mean,
that's gonna hurt for a while.
yeah, for sure. I mean, you guys killed it in the season and then playoff games just lost it right there. But next season, next game, I mean next year, so fingers crossed
Yeah.
for you guys. Wishing you guys the best. The topic for today is how you became a professional soccer player. But before we get into that, I just want to get it on record. How do you properly pronounce your name? Because I didn't say it the best, but you could say it way better for sure.
So it's Arturo Ordonez.
And where are you from?
I'm from near Barcelona in Spain. Yeah, in a small town called Salou.
Got it. So, one of my favorite questions to usually ask my guests is, could you just take us back in time to Spain where it all started?
Wow, that's a long time ago. So I joined academy soccer when I was really, really young. So for my 5th birthday, my parents gave me that birthday present. So they put me in academy, and I grew up just playing soccer since I was 5 years old, even before that. But obviously, I grew up with soccer in Spain. Is the biggest sport, and I would say the main sport. Like, everyone just follows soccer and wants to play soccer, and I just grew up playing the game, and my dream was always to be a professional. So that was always my dream.
Yeah, for sure. So, share a little bit in regards to the difference between like America and Spain, because from my knowledge of what I know, it's like football is the top sport in Spain. There's not really that many sports from what I know. So correct me if I'm wrong. And America is like, there's so many different sports. There's football, baseball, soccer. So there's so many options for kids to choose. So could you just share a little bit about your experience in Spain?
Yeah, for sure. Back home, I would say there's maybe basketball, a little bit of tennis, but there's no other sport that people plays. You grew up, you grow up as a kid playing soccer. Everyone's plays soccer or football, as we call it back home. And it's the main sport. Everyone loves the game. Everyone talks about the game, and obviously, it's hard not to follow soccer if you grow up in an environment where everyone likes soccer. My family, though, they didn't follow soccer before, but I started playing soccer, and that's when they became fans. They were just not big fans of the game, but I made them be to be fans. So, but yeah, like, obviously, all my friends in school, they were playing soccer. In between classes, in breaks, and that's where I started liking the game a lot.
For sure. And have you been to any big games, like watch Real Madrid or Barcelona or any big games back home in Spain when you were young?
Yeah, I've been to El Clásico twice,
Oh,
in Camp Nou in Barcelona, because I live near Barcelona, so I went twice to watch El Clásico when Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo was there. Um, My biggest idol for me, like the guy that I always follow, has been Sergio Ramos, because we're both defenders. So uh, for me to be able to watch him play in life, in real life, it was great. Honestly, it was a great experience.
Yeah, Sergio Ramos, one of the top center backs in the world. Um, how old were you when you went to go watch those El Clasico games?
So not that far ago. It was maybe I was 15, 16, and I'm watching those games. I was dreaming one day to be able to play in one stadium like that, full of people in the stands, cheering and even cursing at me. But obviously, I'm not quite there yet. I'm working my way up, but that certainly gave me the motivation to work harder and try to become a professional footballer.
Yeah, and you know, to have an experience at the age that you did, 16 El Clasico, it inspires you, it motivates you, and you get that feeling of being in the stadium, the atmosphere, and it's something to look up to work towards. For example, for myself, I'm Canadian born, and the first time I ever got to go watch a game was around 16 too. But I Canada doesn't have that soccer experience that Spain does, right? Those big stadiums and stuff like that. So I got that experience one time, and the culture is not really there in Canada. It's growing now. So I feel like there's a big difference in players that are coming from Spain, for example, because you guys have the culture, you guys breathe, eat, sleep football, whereas in Canada we don't really have that. So that gives you, would you say that gives Spanish players and European players an edge? And that's why the quality of football is so good because young players are getting to have those experiences to go watch their superstars and see what that is.
I think for sure gives you an edge because that's the main sport. So everyone wants to play soccer. And watching those big games obviously helps you to grow interest in the game and dream about being there one day. In the US, there's so many sports that was a cultural shock for me because when I came here, there's so many options. But I also think it's a good thing that there's so many options because you see some of the players nowadays, they're more athletic, and the game requires to be more complete as a player, not only being good with the ball or understanding the game, but also being athletic enough um, that you can play and do whatever on the field. And I think through those other sports in the US, I found that some of my teammates really have that ability to do things on the field on soccer thanks to other sports that they practiced when they were younger. So that's something that was a cultural shock for me, but I think it's also beneficial because it can give you for example, even my coach in the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, he was talking about some corner kicks, in some set pieces, how the basketball works and how they protect the ball, and like how he wants us to mark people on the box in set pieces. So some of my teammates played basketball and they have an advantage. I never played basketball. I have no idea. Obviously, I understand how to defend set pieces, but I could benefit from playing other sports at a younger age for sure.
Got it. Um, before we get into anything else, I really want to share with our viewers in regards to how did you make that transition from Spain? At what age were you, and how did you get over to the US? And then, what advice would you give to other European footballers that want to come over to the US?
So I played academy in Spain, and once academy is over at the age of 18, I went to the fourth division, which is semi-pro in Spain. And then when I was playing there, I played there for 3 years. I didn't know what to do. Obviously, I felt stuck. It was really hard to climb on the system. Also, I had some injuries, so I wasn't really seeing an option to go up on the Spanish system, and then just making some research and trying to find a new place for me to grow. I found that the US has that college system of college soccer, and you're able to study at the same time as you play. And I thought that was a great idea because not only gave me an education, but also the chance to become a professional. And that was over the a 4 year or 3.5 year period. So I had time to grow, I had time to adapt, and I thought that coming to the US to play college soccer was a great idea. That was 2019. I was 21, so I was a bit older. But for me, it was the best decision I've ever made because it put me out of my comfort zone. I came to the US. The game in the US is very different from back home, so I was able to bring some stuff from back home, my tactical knowledge or technical ability, and then combine it with the US soccer style that I would say it's more similar to the Premier League style in England. And then during the course of my college career, those 3 years and a half, I was able to grow a lot personally and then also on the field. And that prepared me to be a professional. I think if I never came to the college system, I would never been able to be a pro because I have learned so many things. Mentally, I grew a lot thanks to my coach in the University of Pittsburgh, and my growth over these 3 years in college was amazing. So that made me be a pro for sure.
That's amazing. In regards to college, what did you study? And could you just share? Just I want to dig in a little bit. How did you make the transition from Spain to the U.S. because it's a little bit of a process. I want to provide the viewers with that information for parents and players from Europe that are watching. You know, can you just take a step by step? Was there an agency that you found that helped you do that? And then what did you have? What information did you have to provide in order to get over to the U.S.? And then when you got to the U.S., I know this is a loaded question, but how was the transition for you?
So it was very easy, honestly. I found an agency and they did everything for me. They talked to coaches. They were asking me to do things, but for me it was very easy. They were asking me to give them, for example, my academics, grades, or all the certifications and everything. But they were really, really helpful. Like they were doing everything for me. So we would focus week by week on doing different things. But it was basically taking an English exam, then getting them some of my grades from school, and maybe some highlight videos and stuff that you can find on Y Scout on other platforms. But it was very easy. They helped me a lot. And then once I got all the paperwork done, I talked to some coaches. Obviously, when I talked to Pete, that was my mind made a click. I knew that that was the place that I wanted to be because of the coaching style, because all they were talking to me about, and I studied legal studies. It's related to law. Because my other option, if I wasn't gonna be a footballer, I wanted to be a lawyer. But but yeah, it was very helpful once I came to the college system. I found some obviously some obstacles. It was hard to study in another language and adapt to a different system. So many games in a short period of time, but like after my first semester, I adapted, and I thought I adapted really well, and I grew so much that, as I said to you before, thanks to that growth and those obstacles that I found, right now I feel I am really prepared for anything that comes into my path. So I feel ready for any challenge.
Yeah, that's great. That confidence is amazing. With saying that, I just want to ask one more question or two more questions about in regards to school. So, for example, as a Canadian, in order for us to go to the US, we have to provide the criteria that you mentioned, but we also have to do it's something called an SAT. I'm not sure what it stands for, but it's a test. And you have to get a certain grade on that test in order to get approved in order to get your school visa or whatever to go over to the U.S. So do they have something similar to Europe where you have to do a certain test, or is it just they just take your grades?
So in my case, I was already in university, so I just transferred my credits to the US. But I know if you come right away from high school to college, maybe you have to take an SAT exam. But I'm not sure because I just transfer my grades. That helped me to make my college like I didn't have to take as many classes, so it was shorter. I had to do just only 3 years, thanks to the credits I could transfer. But as I said, all of that was work with the agency, and they helped me a lot. So
Yeah,
it was great.
that's really good. It sounds like that's a smooth transition, transferring the credits. And if you don't mind sharing, how much did it cost you to hire that agency, and how did you find the agency? Like, did you end up? What was your process? Did you end up creating a list? All right, I have 20 agencies that I'm going to reach out to, talk to all of them, see which one I like, and then choose one. Or how did you go about it? Did somebody recommend it to you?
They contact me through Instagram, and I talked to them. I had a couple meetings with them, a couple calls, and I like the idea. I thought they were really serious about it, and they were. I like the way they were handling things. The guy that I talked to, he was very interested, and he was telling me that he was gonna help with everything, and I felt confident working with him. So I didn't reach out to any more agencies. I just trust them, and I think it was 2,000 that I paid to them, and that's it for all the paperwork and all that stuff. But in benefit, I got a full scholarship in a very very good university, so it was for sure worth it.
Wow, nice. What advice would you give to European players that want to come over to the U.S.? What advice would you give to them?
I would say that they have to know what they want because there's so many options, there's so many colleges, there's so many universities. So you have to know what you want to get from this experience. There's guys that want to come to live a good life and have fun. Maybe live in a nice city. So you have to look for what thing do you want. In my case, was strictly soccer. I wanted to be a professional, so I just joined the university and the team that I thought it was gonna help me the most to be a professional. There's other guys that came to the US, maybe chose the wrong team because they just wanted to live uh, the college experience, not being a professional. Maybe they found that it was too strict, too many too many training sessions, too much work, and they ended up quitting. But you have to get a lot of information before making a decision.
Right. And you know, when people end up going to university or college, sometimes, as you mentioned, they want to live that lifestyle. Going to class, partying, playing soccer, partying. You know, trying to balancing it out, and then you have other guys that just are really focused on school, their education, and going to soccer, and then recovering and chilling and relaxing, and keeping that focus for a few years, and to focus on their goal. Um, why do you think, or not? Why do you think? How did you how did you go about it? Did you balance, or were you really focused, or how did you go about it?
So when I first came, um, it was a shock because I found some teammates that they didn't want to be professional players, and I was like, wow. Back home, I was very used to play with guys that they just wanted to be professional. It was very very competitive in that sense. But I came here in college, and there was some teammates that they wanted just the education and being part of a team. There were other guys that wanted to be professional, but they didn't act like one. They just wanted to enjoy the college experience. And then we had a few guys that want to be professionals. I just separate myself from guys that didn't want to achieve the same things as I did, and I didn't compare my lifestyle to their lifestyle. So I was friends with them. I was friends with everyone, but I knew there was some guys on the team that their preference was to party on Friday night, and my goal wasn't the same as them. So when sometimes I was in bed thinking, oh, I would have loved to be in that party, but then I was thinking, well, those guys maybe don't want to be professionals. They can do it. They don't care about it, but I have to care. I can't afford to be part of a group of people that don't have the same goals as me. So obviously I was friends with them, but I was not acting like them because we had different goals. So I tried to be very focused on my goal, and I made a sacrifice coming to the US and being away from my family. So I didn't want to throw it away. So I was very focused.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really good. Um, and it's really hard, right? Especially, it's different from Americans growing up and going to college. They're used to being in America. For players coming outside, it's like a shock, and that's the point where you got to make a decision whether you're going to stay focused or go to the other side and experience the lifestyle. And the other thing that I really like that you mentioned was just the focus. And I'm pretty sure when you saw that, you're like, holy, like these guys aren't serious. Like I'm gonna kill these guys. I'm gonna win, right? So
Mm.
it's like it reminds me of a Kobe mentality where like when he got into the league, he's like, these guys are jokes. Like they don't want to win. So it's really interesting. Um, let's hop on the field, onto the pitch. You mentioned you're a center back, right? You play defense. So, what specific skills and attributes do you believe are essential for success in that position?
So nowadays, the game is growing so much that you need to have a bit of everything, and that's the key. Try to be as complete as possible. Me, for example, a couple of years ago, in back home, I was very physical, very good defender, but because I grew up playing in a more traditional way, I wasn't able to play out of the back as well as I am today. Maybe that was a missing point on my game, and that's why maybe I didn't make it when I was in Spain. So when I came to America, I realized that I had 3 years and a half in college to develop that quality and to be as complete as possible. So for me was how do I improve on the ball? So I was working every day really hard on doing technical sessions by myself before practice, after practice, in the afternoons. But my goal was to do every day at least 30 minutes of technical work and also studying the game through video. So obviously that helped me a lot. And after 3 years and a half now, I think playing out of the back is one of my best qualities. So I would say that you have to look at yourself and evaluate yourself, being humble to realize that you're not perfect and try to improve that missing point that you have because everyone has a missing point. So I think that's the key. It's gonna be different for every player.
Yeah, for sure. And I really want players to really catch this. A few years ago, maybe 10 years back, 15 years back, you could just be really good, but you didn't really have to be physical or fast or work on these things. But now it's very essential to what you're saying. You have to be overall strong in all aspects: technical, physical, awareness, mental toughness, confidence, so on and so forth. So the game really has changed. I really want players to catch that. Um, in the competitive world of professional soccer, how do you stay motivated and maintain a high level of performance throughout the season, the whole season, right? Because you guys are traveling a lot, playing car, staying at a lot of hotels, being away from home, so on and so forth. So, how do you stay motivated?
It's it's one of the challenges because the season is long. Our season is like 10 month season, so it's a long season, a lot of games, a lot of training, and there's gonna be some challenges always down the road. Something that worked really well for me, especially this year, was to set small goals and try to divide the season into parts. Um, so, for example, I was looking at the games in a 5 game package. So I was trying to look at the 5 games and try to say, okay, during these 5 games, my goal is to score 1 goal I want this many clean sheets. I want to perform at my highest level these games, and try to set some goals that I wanted to do, but not also only about the games, but it was also about trainings. So sometimes I would tell myself, okay, today's Tuesday, we're gonna do this in training. I wanna get 3 interceptions in this drill. I wanna do 3 through balls. I wanna play 3 through balls in this, and then I would check. That would keep me very motivated and very excited for every training and every week. And I would try always to set small goals and try not to think about the whole picture, because you see it so far away that if you're in game 10 and you find some obstacles and you think, wow, 24 more games, then obviously you're gonna be tired mentally, because it's tough. It's very, very far away, that goal from you. So you have to set up a plan with small goals and something that you can go week by week and see, okay, I'm doing well, I'm not doing well, and then keep yourself motivated every day.
Yeah, great advice. It's so interesting. When I was young, I was like, I want to travel. I want to travel a lot. And as a professional footballer like yourself, you travel a lot. And I just want to add in my experience here. When I started traveling a lot, I was like, this is tiring. Like sitting on a plane, my knees are hurting. Like for it depends how long you're on the plane for, but like I'm like staying at hotels, I'm like eating the hotel food. I'm like, okay, you want to change it up a little bit. And it's like it's not something easy. And I think, talking to a few club owners that don't have that football experience, that maybe are just doing it for an investment perspective, for example, they ended up realizing that after about the players, or as a player, that hasn't experienced that yet, that just became a professional, that is then experiencing it, that so it's so interesting that travel experience comes into play when you're a full-fledged pro like yourself. With saying that, I want to sum it up a little bit. So you went semi-pro, fourth division in Spain. You got a great agency to help you out to get a full scholarship to transfer your credits to the U.S. You studied law in school college for 3 years, and then after those 3 years, this is where you know you signed pro, right? Did you sign pro right after, or what happened?
So I got drafted when I graduated from school. I was selected number 39 in the MLS Super Draft. So after graduating, I went to Houston Dynamo in the MLS, and I was there for a month. But I'm international, so they offered me a second team contract after a month in there. I was training with them, and I was hoping to get a first team contract, but they offered me a second team contract because of my international status. And I decided that wasn't on my plans, that I didn't want to play because I was already 24, so I was a bit older. I didn't want to play MLS Next Pro. And then I talked to my agent, and we found the opportunity to join the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and that's where I ended up signing.
Yeah. How important is it to have an agent? And how did you find your agent?
So by the end of my college season, I was talking to different people, different agents, and I found this agent he's from Spain, but he works mainly with USL guys and some MLS guys. And I talked to him, and the connection was there. So for me, working with someone is all about connection. What connection I feel with him, and he always was talking to me. We were over the phone during those weeks before the draft. He was talking to me about the teams, about options, and it's really helpful to have an agent nowadays. Is very, very important, I think, because you have to have a good agent in terms of someone that cares about you. There's a lot of people out there that they just wanna make money of you, and they even gonna lie to you if they have to lie to you to make profit. So you have to find someone that you have connection, someone that you trust. But it's very important because you're gonna have to deal only with the soccer related stuff. on the field, and he's gonna deal with off the field stuff. So he's gonna look out for opportunities for you. He's gonna deal with other stuff. For example, my agent right now, um, I was talking to him about some stuff for next year that I want to happen in my contract. That for me it's important, but I don't have to deal with it. I don't have to go talk to anyone about it. I just told him, and he knows that's important for me to happen, and he's gonna fight for it. And so that imagine fighting for all that stuff plus playing soccer. That's a lot of headaches, and that's something that you don't want. You want to be focused on the game.
For sure, yeah. It's kind of like an essential, to be honest, to have an agent. And it would be great if after the interview you could connect me to your agent, your guy, for an interview. That'd be really good if he's interested, he or she. Um, with saying that, you play in USL Championship, which means you play in front of a lot of fans, 10,000 plus fans. So for players that haven't experienced that, um, you know, how does that feel and how do you deal with it? Because it's not like you're playing in front of 50, 100, 10,000 people are screaming at you. If you're at home, they're cheering you on. If you're at an away game, they're swearing at you, telling you suck, get off the field, blah, blah, blah. How do you deal with all that?
Wow, that's a tough question. I remember the first game that I played professional. I was nervous, and it impacted me to have that many people watching me. For at least for the first 5 minutes, then I forgot about it. But right now, I just got used to it. You just have to go through it, and right now, I even forget there's people watching me. I don't even know. I don't even notice that people's watching me, and even the more people there's on the stands, the less you notice it. So I remember in the Open Cup against Cincinnati, I think it was 17,000, and in Cincinnati Stadium, and I just didn't hear anything. It was like I was so focused on the game on the field that if you told me that game was empty stands, it would have been the same thing. And that's the key. Try to focus so much in whatever you're doing that you forget about other stuff going on.
Yeah. Last few questions. I think I just have three left. What has been your favorite stadium to play at?
Think,
Louisville?
ah,
Louisville?
yeah, probably Louisville. Lynn Family Stadium. Louisville Stadium is beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful stadium, and a lot of fans, and it's probably also it was my first game in a big stadium like that. My rookie season, so it has a special meaning because that game, that's when I before kickoff, I was there standing, and I was like, wow, like how lucky I am to be playing in a stadium like this, full of people, and that's when I was grateful for all the work I made during the years before.
Yeah. I mean, you're a part of the 0.0001%, right? Like there's millions of players that want to go pro, but there's so many jobs to actually be a professional soccer player and get paid for what you love to do. That's my other question. What changed for you? Because playing in college is completely different from playing professionally, getting paid for what you love to do. So what changed for you once you signed? You put that pen to paper and you're a pro, certified, verified, blue check mark. You're a pro, man. What changed for you on the field and what changed for you off the field in regards to family, friends, playing on the field, so on and so forth?
I think the key is before you make it, you have to act like a pro. So I was already acting like a pro when I was in college. So the way I was eating, I remember. So already in college, I was working with a nutritionist, and I had this other strength and conditioning coach that I was going to. So I was already making investments on myself to be a professional, acting like a professional. So then when I signed that paper, it didn't mean anything. It was more like a relief for one day, but then it was like, okay, now to the next goal. So it was more like, yes, satisfaction and a lot of joy and happiness for one day. But then after that, it was just like, okay, now the real journey begins. So, but anything changed. As I said, it was the same nutrition, the same sleeping habits, the same gym workouts. Everything was the same, and same friends, family. Family is gonna be happy for you, no matter what you do in life. So uh, they're gonna be there for you. So nothing changed. Obviously, I'm just trying to act the same, and do the same things that brought me here, because I know those habits are gonna bring me even further.
Yeah, that's a great mentality. It's worked. It's been working, and it will continue to work. So that's amazing. Um, I think last two questions, or last question. How do you watched Messi and Ronaldo back in Spain, El Clasico. How do you feel about Messi being in the US, um, playing for Inter Miami FC? I thought it was kind of weird. Well, not weird. It was interesting because you have someone like Messi that just won the World Cup, and he's played football his whole life, and now he's coming to the United States where we call it soccer. So it's like, it's for me, it was really interesting. I haven't been able to fully dissect it, but I'm interested to know on how you feel and what your thoughts are for Messi coming from PSG to Inter Miami CF.
Well, that was, to me, that was something that you were hearing on the news, and there were some rumors, but like I didn't fully believe it. But then when it happened, it was a shock. It was like, wow, Messi's coming to the US. The MLS is growing a lot, and that's good for the league, for MLS, but also for the USL, also for USL One, and any soccer in general in the US. Um, so that made me happy. That made me realize how much the league's growing, and how much investment people is willing to make in this country to make the game grow. So I think it's a really positive thing to have Messi here. All the attention he's drawn and the league, the attention the league got thanks to Messi. Um, and I think that plus the World Cup is gonna make a huge difference in soccer in the US, which nowadays is growing a lot, and even in the USL. I'm part of the PA, Players Association, and they talk about in the meetings about the growth of the league, salary wise, investment wise, stadiums, and it's unbelievable. Like in 5 years, the growth that the league has experienced is incredible. So we expect to see more growth in these years. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Nice. I was going to ask you one more question, but now I got to ask you a few more questions because you mentioned the PA Player Association, USL Player Association. So it's saying that the last question that I was going to ask you was, what's your most memorable moment in soccer in the US so far?
Probably when we won in the Open Cup against Columbus Crew. It was a home game against Columbus. We won against New England Revolution in New England, but obviously doing that far from home, it wasn't the same as doing it in Pittsburgh in front of all our fans, and it was a complete sold out. Like the crowd was crazy. They were like so happy, and no one could believe what we just did, and that was probably my best memory.
Nice. Um, I'll just ask one more question before we dive into the fun ones, and we'll wrap it up. USL Player Association was recently just put together, right?
Yeah, I think a couple of years ago. Yeah, not that far.
Or they just and they recently just signed a deal with USL. I'm pretty sure I've seen it announced on Twitter before. So just share a little bit about like how you got how you got involved in the USLPA, and what role do they play, and if you could just share some insight into what you guys are seeing into the future, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so every team has two team reps. So that goes by a nomination on your team, and I offer myself. I said that I wanted to be part of the USLPA as a team rep. And my teammates agreed with me, and so I was able to be part of it this year. I wanted to be part of the Players Association to be able to be that link between the organization and my teammates. And I think the USLPA is amazing. The work they're doing. They help players with anything, from contract issues, money issues. There's a lot of stuff going on that, thanks to USLPA, is not happening anymore. And also they're fighting for players to have better conditions on the field and off the field, and that's huge because they're just working and fighting to increase the benefits we get. For example, one of the best benefits, and I took advantage of that, is we have access to Y Scout for free. So this year I was able to see all my games through Y Scout with all my actions, but also before every game I would analyze my opponents, and I would break down into their actions. For example, 1v1, dribbling situations, finishing. So I was able to, through Y Scout, prepare better for games and improve on the field. So at the end, the USL is growing on the field thanks to that Y Scout, and that's something that USLPA gave us for free. There's other stuff like mental health. We get access for free to therapy if we want. We can talk to someone, counselors, and they help you with anything, and it's all for free. So it's a lot of other like courses. Even you get college. How do you say, college tuition for free, or even discount. So it's amazing, all the resources they put in together.
Yeah, that's great. It's only going to support the players and boost the league, so it's good overall. What the last question I'll ask is, what advice would you give to the next generation that want to go pro?
I would say really analyze yourself, and then from that you have to be humble to understand where you have to grow, but also you have to be stubborn to not be comfortable being or having a missing point, a missing thing in your game. So in my case was I needed to improve my technique, and I was humble to admit it, but I wasn't comfortable and saying, okay, that's what it is. I just don't have the technique. No, I wasn't okay with it. I was like, no, 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 no. I want to be complete. I want to be a professional, so I need to be complete. So I just work really hard to have that and to be as complete as possible. So I would say, yeah, that just see what do you need to work on and then work on it.
That's great advice. I got some fun questions to ask. They're like speed questions. You gotta like answer them fast.
Okay.
What's your favorite European league to watch?
La Liga.
Favorite club from La Liga?
Real Madrid.
Favorite player from Real Madrid right now?
Right now. Oh, Vinicius.
Okay, what about past, all time? Favorite Real Madrid?
Sergio Ramos.
Now, do you have a favorite a favorite MLS team?
No.
Okay. What's your favorite food?
Probably rice. Rice with beans.
Rice with beans? Okay. What's your favorite movie?
Wow, that's a difficult one. I'd say I don't have a favorite movie.
Yeah. What about favorite activity besides soccer?
I love going for walks with my dog.
Last two. Do you have a favorite music artist?
Yeah. It's Bad Bunny.
Who?
Bad Bunny.
Oh, Bad Bunny. Yeah, he's good. Do you have a favorite song by Bad Bunny?
Favorite song? Yeah. The last album he released, it's called Nadie Sabe, the song. It's in Spanish, but yeah, that song.
And the last one, Messi or Ronaldo?
Ronaldo.
Okay. All right. Well, those were all my questions. Was there anything that I missed or that you wanted to add in?
No, that's great. Thank you.
All right. Well, Arturo, before we go, I'd like to thank you for taking the time for joining us on the One Soccer Nation podcast today.
Thank you so much. Thanks to you for reaching out and giving me the opportunity to talk today with you.
For sure.